Happy Friday, Pat, and welcome to our millions and
Millions
millions of
and millions.
viewers as we try to not break the internet today.
I have to say that I do like the music that you have come on. It sounds like it's CBS Evening News or something like that.
It fools people into think that we're going to provide incredibly useful information, and some people are actually buying that. So, I'm okay with that. But couple things happen here. I've had Cox Internet forever, and I've got I don't have their fiber network, but they sent me a message yesterday and said, "Congratulations, we've increased your upload speed." Now, upload speed normally runs about 40 to 60 MPS for those that know that, what a difference that makes, especially if I upload a YouTube video. They upped it to 1,000 yesterday, and I did a speed test, and they weren't kidding. That means instead of putting a video on YouTube and watching it go in the little blue line, for a couple minutes or 4 minutes. Look how impatient we are. Now it's like, whoop. So I'm pretty happy about that. And I want to let people know. Yeah, it's you look down below. We have a phone number for the show. We haven't tried it yet. I've tested it on my end, and you can actually call into the show if you want to. You can also use the link that you see in the chat there if you'd like to join us with video as well. So now if you call into the show, please make sure you turn the volume down on your computer so we don't get a lot of feedback. And with that, let me take you down this road of what we're seeing in the market. And we are seeing kind of some interesting stuff. Now, you're not going to really be able to see this. So I'm just going to read a couple key points that said supply continued to grow during March, which is very unusual for this time of year. However, I can't talk today. It only grew 2.8%. So it didn't exactly pile up and remains well below normal. Not too much extra competition for sellers is a welcome increase in availability. Yeah, I'm just going to stop talking. We have 17,100 listings today, Pat. We broke the 17,000 mark, and it's going up. And I have said that I thought that our new listings were going to kind of plateau for a while, and here's why they're not. And next week could tell more of a story, but look at how many new listings have come up the past 7 days. Greetings, Stephanie. And our contracts have gone down. So the market is seeing more inventory. Not alarming, but tell you what, we get to 19,000, that's a game changer. But here's listings under contract compared weekly. Now this is Easter week, so that's why there's a dip there. So next week's going to be very important to watch. And then we look at closings per month above list price is still way down at 19%, where for a while there, it was 57, 60%. So there's not a whole lot of bidding wars going on, but there are some parts of the valley where there is. I saw a listing today on Facebook. The agent, it was up at McCormick Ranch. In one day, she got multiple listings, multiple offers.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is out there. Now, for those that ask about Tucson, check this out, Pat. Sales by week are identical to last year. So here we are, 2024. We had 435 last year, 438. Incredible. 2022, 601. Average percent over list price this year, minus 1.6%. So they're not overbidding. Last year, minus 1.3, and 2022 up 1%. I think it's a really interesting chart. Days on the market. 2024, 28, 2023, 22, 2022, 6. So, you think our market's stuck. They're stuck. So it's a same as last year, going on and on. But today, the big news was jobs report or the lack thereof, or the surprise that and inside the jobs report, big three dominate again. So they're basically saying healthcare, government, leisure, and hospitality. Those three did 63% of the jobs. But I'm going to pull up a chart here that is kind of, and you've been saying this, and this is why.
Yeah, but I'm right one time.
This, well, probably twice.
Okay.
Let me check. I keep it on my phone. Yeah, this is twice.
I do have some. I do come up with some different. My little economic theories in Chandler, Arizona here.
Well, they're part-time jobs. This is from the Bureau of Labor and Statistics. See that green line? That's all the new jobs. See the red part-time jobs.
Yep.
They grew. Look at the red line. That's full-time jobs that are gone.
Yeah.
And so that's why the bond market's not getting all excited about this number, right?
Yeah, I mean, basically the bond, flip it to my chart here quick. I mean, this is today. I mean, we saw the bond, this is bond prices, MBS 5.5 coupon. It started out on a positive territory, and I locked the loan yesterday because I was like, just the way I just didn't feel good about the way the market was trading out here the last couple of days. So I locked her yesterday, but which is good because obviously the 5.5% coupon lost 38 basis points by it started out good, but we saw this deterioration into the day, where we lost 38, about almost 40 basis points on the 5.5% coupon. I mean, the 10-year treasury has been kind of, in this range here. But once again, I mean, I think the jobs report, the actual is 303,000. They came in at, the forecast was 200,000. And honestly, when I saw the market going positive this morning, I'm like, okay, I think the market is kind of getting to the point where they know that bottom line is these numbers are kind of fake. They get revised 11. They've been revised 11 out of 12 months. The last several months, there's always a revision. And I think once you start digging into these numbers, like the chart you just showed, people are getting a lot of part-time jobs, and that does not bode well. As I said, the last couple months, I mean, I'd like to see full-time jobs in manufacturing and electronics and technology, that are good paying jobs, construction, but these leisure and hospitality, and government, they're feeding the animal on the government jobs. And you could tell the way the bond market reacted. It's amazing what you see the day-to-day, week by week, reactions to the bond. Because on any given day, to beat the job part report by 103,000 jobs, this market should have been slapped around even more.
Yeah, I mean, it's normally that news just, rates would have taken off normally. And
well, I think this is kind of precursor to next week. I think hidden in all these numbers is now the market's really waiting for the real number is going to be the CPI number next week. That's really the market. I think today's number was like, okay, I think, like I said, it's just kind of like the same old. The market's like, yeah, came in hot. They're going to revise them next month. They've seen this over and over and over again. I think the market start to get used to it. But I think now obviously the big attention really is going to be next week's CPI number to see. That's going to be the telltale sign of what is going on.
Yeah, and Realtor.com came out and said that the best week to sell a home in the United States is April 14th. And maybe people just relieved that their taxes are filed. But so they're running a lot of ads promoting that. But when I look at our numbers now, the best time to sell a home when it comes to contracts and everything for us was probably a couple weeks ago, but it's still not bad now.
No.
Rates haven't moved. People are kind of making the adjustment. And I think you're going to see, more and more homes start showing up on the market. So for sellers, it's not bleak.
No, I mean, I also get feedback, from clients, but I talk to other, lender reps at different lenders, wholesalers, they call me or I call them. So I'll pick their brains and how things looking. They're like, oh, it's definitely picked up here in the last couple of weeks. There are definitely people coming out of the woodwork. And for an example, is I talked to my sister. She bought a house here just recently up in Green Bay. And, you and I discussed this, but she was in that, they want to downsize. They're in a 2-story house right now. They want to go to a ranch style in Green Bay. And she put her house up they just made a quick decision. It was like one weekend. It's like, let's just sell it. Well, they got 6 offers like that,
Jeez.
all cash, 6 offers. Now the house she was buying didn't have any offers. They got in quick. But she told me yesterday, she goes, we were in at 2.75 on our old mortgage, and she goes, we hated to give that up. She got pre-qualified from a local bank up, that she knows a banker up there. And, she said, it kind of sucks to go to high 6s, but she goes, you know what? It is what it is. So I think those people are, like you said, there's a big swath that can't do that. But then I think the people that are in that position are like, I kind of think they're getting over the shock of, like you said, high 6s is better than high 7s or mid 7s or 8%. And I think people are kind of getting used to that. And they're like, okay, let's just do it. And I'm kind of starting to see that type of activity too.
Yeah, I think people are finally coming to terms that the 4 to 6 rate cuts are not going to happen.
Yeah.
There are, the marry the house, date the rates probably got some people nervous, depending on what rate they got and when they got in. Doesn't mean that that's not going to happen and be a good move, but it's, they said for longer and better. And, look, I'm not a pessimist. I just don't see much improvement in inflation just based simply on the amount of treasury spending that we had in Q3 of last year, $1.4 trillion. That has not even come close to shaking out.
No.
And in a month or two, CPI will be higher than expected. Commodities going up over the last couple of months. Gas price in Phoenix increased 30%, 30 cents a gallon overnight. Yeah. Well, that's all based on the troubles in the Middle East right now. But, but they do look at 2 different inflation numbers, one that includes food and energy and one that excludes it.
Yeah.
That's the one, that's the PPI, isn't it? Now, producer price index.
Wholesale PPE. Yeah.
Yeah. So they look at both. I mean, the central bank can't do anything about fuel, and they can't do anything about, they can do something about commodities, but just based on demand. And now, wait, you think chicken and eggs are going to get really expensive again? The bird flu is raging in Texas.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so that's going to show up. So you're saying, okay, that's going to make its way into the food numbers again with more inflation. So that there's a lot of things that are keeping them from their 2% target.
Yeah, I think it's no, I agree with you. It's just it's there. I mean, now that like you said, beginning of the year, this could be the year of how many, this could be the raging war between how many rate cuts is the Fed going to do. I'm sticking.
Well, we don't need it, to be honest with you. We don't need any more fuel in housing. We just don't. We don't need a 5.5 right now for everybody to go out and start getting more mortgages. Because our realtors, you guys are all rich. Don't you want that? It's not good. It's gonna fire things up too much. But in our market though, we got a lot going on. This is Peoria is getting down to business with the state of Arizona, set to open thousands of acres of land for future growth. With the $40 billion Taiwan semiconductor manufacturing plant next door, plans for a $2 billion Amcor conductor plant in Peoria, city leaders are positioning 8,300 acres of state trust land for the next development. So they're getting ready to build up there. And but I was also reading that the chip plant is delayed because of lack of skilled workers. So it's actually delayed them a year. They can't find people to put that thing together that know what they're doing, I guess. Arfo says, I don't think cut rates for a while, at least not till the end of 24. I'm right there with you. I don't, you cut rates when we need to because the economy needs some juice. And are they going to do a token cut, one rate cut at best? Is what David said here. I agree, unless they do one token cut. And Lewis,
I just don't think
one cut.
I just, things are moving along. Obviously, for some people, some are, a lot of people are, this inflation is really hurting a lot of people in pocketbooks. But like you said, they're not going to. I had a buddy of mine call me. He goes, "Yeah, I'm hearing the Fed could increase rates." I'm like, they're going to stay. They're not going to increase rates. They know they got to keep it right here, and because if they do increase rates, that could create, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but some kind of a mini panic. It's like,
Oh, yeah, they couldn't do that. Well, you got an interesting chart here, Pat. Tell me what that is.
Well, just once again, I mean, I pulled this up. It's Keeping Current Matters. It's been around, but it talks about the single family housing units completed. This obviously supply. Just talking about why the supply is low. But once again, it's talked about here. I mean, I'll go this bottom one that you talked about. But we've talked about this for probably ad nauseum. Is that the word, ad nauseum? Talking.
Yeah, let me Google
it. 70% of the mortgage rates are less than 4%. And so you look at these numbers, 644, 60, that's 68, 90%, 90% or 5% or lower. And you got basically 5.3 to 3, see 9%, that's above 5% or higher. So that, once again, I think those people like my sister, they're like, okay, I'm going to give up my 2 3/4. I'm going to go to 6.5. They got some equity to pay down a house. So they're going to probably move around, but here's, you had that one gentleman that's saying, people, what was the argument that one gentleman was saying?
Oh, somebody just had a comment that said, I don't think that low rates are why people are staying in place.
Well, that's horse manure. Number one, that. I mean, and here's a chart. It says today's homeowners are staying in their houses for an average of 9+ years. It started in 2010, and with the low rates, I think that's spurred it, because 2011, 12, we saw the HARP program, people getting in the 3.5% range. I mean, look at this chart. It's definitely evident that it's 9.3 years is the average now. And
well, Dave's got a good point here where he says, but 40% of people have no mortgage.
Yeah. I mean,
why aren't they selling? They just don't want to move.
they don't want to move. I mean, yeah,
I can say, look, a bunch of my classmates are in that situation. They don't have mortgage. One of my friends, he built a beautiful home up Washington State. I mean, the taxes are killing him, so he's a little concerned about that. They have a different tax structure than we do. But he says, yeah, I know the home's too big for us. We don't have the kids, but he says, I got a bucket load of grandkids now. So I don't want to downsize. I've got this huge shop that's got my boat in it. And, my brother, same case. He's got a big house, but it's 2-story. But he says, where am I going to go?
Well, another thing is too is a lot of these people are the aging population. Rather than spending $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 on a assisted care living, I'm sure you're hearing people saying they're just going to stay in their home. Their son or daughter going to get a somebody to come over and help their mom and dad for pay them $2,000 or $3,000 a month versus putting them into assisted care for $8,000 to $10,000 a month too.
Yeah, well, I have a long-term plan to clearly become a burden to my children. So, it's just get even time,
But I mean, I think with COVID, COVID started this obviously back in 2020 when people, it's just my theory that, basically been thinking is that, 2000 with the COVID, you had rather than you couldn't go into assisted living. So they're like, we'll just stay home here and we'll take care of mom and dad from home.
Now, I got a few things I want to share with you guys. One, I want to talk about title theft for a minute, but I want to throw in this little ditty here. It has nothing to do with real estate because I wanted to run this by you, Pat, because there's a lot of Waymo cars down in Chandler, right? You see them all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Self-driving cars. Waymo and Uber announced April 3rd a new partnership that will launch in Phoenix and will have driverless cars delivering food to Uber Eats customers. Okay. Do you care if you order Uber Eats, whether it's got a driver or not? I mean, is that going to make more people get food delivered? I don't understand it. Because You come and you get a message on your phone to walk out to the car. You push a button that opens up the trunk. You get your food. Okay. Versus most Uber Eats people come to your door.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. I just read that, thought it was odd. What's the, what is that? And Sean here says, I personally prefer no people interact. More parents are living with children now than ever before. Lack of savings for retirement. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's getting any better anytime soon. It's actually kind of the other way around too, with a lot of kids living with their parents. But anyway, I just thought that was kind of weird. And then also, as we look towards the new rules and confusion in real estate, and people bidding on homes, I wanted to emphasize something here, because if you're selling it, you're selling it on your own and stuff, and it says, not even selling it on your own, but contained in the listing is a comment that seller will not be providing a residential seller's property disclosure statement, and that such must be waived by the buyers. If a buyer agrees to waive the SPUDs, is the seller still required to disclose to the buyer known facts about the property? And the answer is yes. If I keep seeing this in there saying, well, I'm buying it as is, or I'll see a flipper come in and flip a house and they'll say, owner has never occupied the property, so they don't fill out the disclosure form. Well, the disclosure form, for crying out loud, you completely rebuilt that house. You're going to tell me you don't know anything about it?
Mm-hmm.
You know, when was the roof replaced? Well, I did it last week. Are you near an airport? Yes. You're still obligated to disclose, because guess what? If you don't disclose and they find something out later, that's how you get your butt sued.
Mm-hmm.
So for sellers, make sure you disclose. It's a harmless form. And so it's just a bit of a mess for people that don't, that don't want to do this. And so I wanted to just lay that one out there. And but a comment here, multi-generational housing is the fastest growing sector. Yep, I believe. I myself need a multi-generational home soon, taking care of my mom. Yeah, aging parents, that's a lot of work. Here is a Maricopa title
That's
alert.
why I'm trying to find a young girlfriend, so that's because she can watch me as I age.
Yeah, boy, there's a party. How's that working out for you? Hey, guess what? We're almost at the 23-minute mark. That's inside joke. You've heard of these things like title lock and all this stuff to let you know if anybody's, monkeyed with your title. This is something good. Now, speaking of aging parents, you can sign up to be notified if your parents' home, if their title has changed. This is with the county. So put in your email address, and is it an individual or business? And you can put in several names here, and you want a text or you want an email, and you want link. So the county has this. So if somebody, monkeyed with the title of your home, Pat, or your mom's home, you want to know. And because sometimes aging parents do things that they shouldn't do. Now, the resolution, if somebody messed with your title, is still a messy process. But I think that's worthwhile, just taking a few minutes to get on there and type in that information so that even for your own house, but particularly for your parents. But title theft is real. It's not as rampant here as I would think it would be with the aging population that we have. But I think that's worth taking a look at.
Well, it goes along too, like what I talk about when people are buying a house or selling a house, that they make sure darn well that they, with new AI, you never know with this AI stuff, what might look real and what might look fake. But, phishing, if you're buying or selling a house and you're wiring money, make damn well good that you're talking to the title person. If you get those email, they usually email in a secure email as far as wire instructions, but please pick up the phone and do not do anything until you physically talk to somebody on the phone to go step by step, number by number, what those wire instructions look like. Because
exactly, I've seen people get burned.
I've heard enough stories where you think, it's not going to happen to me, but I've heard guys, in our company, just people have been kind of known or put on Facebook. They're like, yep, got $25,000, $50,000, $75,000 that just was wired. And I think with AI, I think these emails and phishing are going to make it look really good. So you better do not do anything until you talk to somebody. And I can't overemphasize that enough.
Yeah, and artificial intelligence is very good at cloning voices now. So if you got a grandkid and that grandkid calls you on the phone, it may not be them. Grandma, yeah. I'm in Mexico and I'm in jail and they need you to wire $5,000 to get me out.
Yeah.
And so how do you avoid that? Well, you just ask something like, well, okay, well, hey, how's your sister? I haven't talked to her in a while. Well, if your grandson doesn't have a sister, then you know it's not them.
Yeah.
So you need to kind of arrange to have some keywords and stuff, because my son, one of his friends' grandfathers got burned that way. Called up and said, hey, this is, Levi, I'm in jail. And and they fell for it. The house is in this situation as a flip, so work was done on the house. If a seller, okay, I missed a comment up here. Let me go up just a hair here. It says, if a seller gives a buyer a blank disclosure form, what should the buyer do? Well, it's during the inspection period. The buyer can say, I'm not buying a house. I want you to disclose what you know. You mean you really don't know anything about this house? You don't know if you're near an airport. Well, I haven't lived here. Well, you drove there. You know the address. So you replace the air conditioning, right? Yeah, well, put that in there. Put down what you know about the house. If they're not going to do it, the agent needs to push really hard with the other agent, because I don't accept houses that don't give a disclosure form. And I'll give you an example how they helped you too. We're saved. AI to the rescue. Yeah, we are. Hey,
Jessica joined us from remotely.
The spam phone calls, text messages, and emails are abundant these days. Yeah, I'm getting hit with them every stinking day. Somebody called me last week. Cash deals, big down payments. People are making it happen, and inherited homes. Somebody called me last week and says, who is this? I go, well, who'd you want? But getting back to the disclosure. So I had a listing. It's quite a few years ago. And the buyer came back and said she found mold behind the kitchen cabinets. They're a really old house. And she was really upset. And she was remodeling the kitchen. And so she felt that he didn't disclose that there was mold. Well, it had a really tight attic, and the seller was 6'6". He's never been in his attic. He can't get in it. In fact, even the inspector couldn't get in the attic. He just kind of poked his head through and looked around with a flashlight, her inspector. So he didn't see it. But what they did was they pulled out the disclosure form and they looked at all the detail he put in there. And they determined, when the lawyer's looking at it, that he provided so much detail in the disclosure form, it would be really odd for him to hide something. I mean, he had handwritten notes, and so that disclosure form saved him from a possible lawsuit, because he was honest about what was going on in his house.
Interesting.
So it's worth it. So now we got another mess coming here for real estate. Maybe the Department of Justice can reopen its investigation into the National Association of Real Estate. The appeals court ruled today. So they're going after NAR, and they're basically saying that they said it's also possible the DOJ may not open the investigation now that NAR has reached a settlement agreement with home sellers about buyer agent commissions. That doesn't appear to be likely, given the DOJ has asked for further steps to be taken in this case against MLS Penn. I don't know what that is. Suggested one proposal was an injunction that would prohibit sellers from making commission offers to buyer brokers at all. In other words, you none of you have that option. If you want to offer a commission to a buyer broker, the Department of Justice is telling you no. And there's so much misinformation on it that you end up with headlines like this on Yahoo Finance. The end of 6% real estate commissions could result in numerous and significant repercussions. Where are they getting this end of 6% nonsense?
I know. Well,
Nobody
you know what?
ever told us what we had to charge.
Yeah,
Nobody,
things are
except
negotiable.
the consumer.
It basically just says you can't state it in a certain area on the MLS.
That's the only thing they've done. Now,
Yeah.
that's just going to make a huge mess. So, and it's so confusing. That's why you'll see in the um, description of this live stream down there, I'm starting offering some consulting. So you can set an appointment for an hour from me and answer any procedural questions about real estate or certain areas or anything that you want to know selling or buying. Because if I call this the summer of confusion, it's going to be a mess.
Well, it's gonna be a mess
mess.
with the NA. It's gonna be a mess with the NAR, and it's gonna be a mess with the on my side, the Federal Reserve trying to figure out when they're gonna cut rates. It's just gonna be one of those years, and you know, it just seems to me, just looking at it from a mortgage standpoint, I feel bad for there's bad mortgage people, there's bad people in every industry, but the average agent works their tail off, try to and it does give you protection from lawsuits. I mean. I just feel that if this goes around the cycle that the Justice Department wants to see, okay, the buyer doesn't get, the representation's not quite there. Well, then all of a sudden the seller's gonna get sued, and you got another load of lawsuits.
It's going to go full circle. Yeah,
it's gonna go full circle. That these attorneys are like, oh, now we can flip the lawsuits to here. It's just and they just gotta keep filling their pockets. I don't have a lot of love for attorneys. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, if you are, it just
nobody negotiated their settlement amount.
Yeah, I mean, they're the ones who are going to be making it out. I'm tired of people that act like they're doing something. Tell me what your modus operandi is. You've worked with me. Jessica's worked with me. I don't have, I love telling people the straight facts, and that's why I love doing this YouTube show. And just sometimes we get off tangent, but it's nice to try. I think you and I really try to work hard to give people, information that is just, straight up, and there's no, I don't like motives. I hate motives the older I get. Just tell people, I don't want to mess around people's biggest purchase that they're ever going to make in their lifetime. I want to give them the straight facts. And it just ticks me off to no end to see these attorneys jacking up, these making this, the representation. They're screwing around with the representation on this, the largest transaction of their lifetime. And it's going to go back full circle, like you said, where the seller's going to end up getting sued now. So
yeah, it will. We have a comment here from Bebop said, we've overbuilt apartments, seeing 8 weeks off starting to show up in Scottsdale. Scottsdale's got a ton. I expect you're going to see some of that in Gilbert too. It's insane in Gilbert.
There's only so many apartments that you can build that you can charge $2,800 to $3,000 a month for.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's insane. And there's one in Gilbert. It's down on down by Agritopia, and it's got all this retail underneath and restaurants and stuff. And I think they're $2,600, $2,400 to $2,600 to $3,000 a month. Beautiful places, but I don't know. And it's full. Kills me. David says, if an older property is in an area with new build apartments, they're hurting too much competition. They're hurting an older property with, yeah. And I see that a lot. I've seen that with one of my clients. He had an older townhome that he was having problems getting, a tenant in there. And he said, what's going on? I go, look, down the street, they got a first-class gym. They got a pool. They got a clubhouse. They got a courtyard. I said, you don't have any of that. So for the same price, they're going down there and getting all the amenities. Now, this was several years ago, but, that's, to David's point, that hurts. But that's a free market and that's competition. So you have to take that into consideration. If you're a buyer and you want to buy a home to rent it, I caution you, make sure you know the vacancy rate in your area. I'm going to get a house and I'm going to rent this one. Okay, well, do your due diligence on what you can actually get for that rental before you step into buying the other home. Is there Maricopa County city land use policy regarding percent multi-share apartments versus single family homes? I don't think it's a county regulation. I think it's city by city zoning.
I think it's city by city.
Yeah. So, I don't know for sure. So, but again, for people that want to rent their home out, make sure you know what you're doing. Make sure you understand how much work it's going to be. I rented out a 1-bedroom condo once, and it was just an absolute nightmare for me. And I don't care who I put in. I even put in a member, and it was a nightmare. So he was out of work. He came up from Oklahoma. He was a brother-in-law, and they had 3 kids. 3 kids? Yeah, I think they had 3 kids at the time. And we were just kind of, my tenant left. I said, here, go stay at my place. I'll charge you $400 for the month. So he stayed there for 3 weeks, didn't give me a dime. And he's an ex-brother-in-law. PR says, rented my condo once, never again. And even the nicest guys break things. But there are people with single family rentals they're doing very well. The investor that I talked to you about, that's his retirement. He's got 7 to 9 properties out here.
Wow.
And he's doing well. Or you can rent Pat's house and he can go to that long-term assisted living place he's been eyeing. So. But hey,
exactly.
News for Sunday night for this show. I'm going to be doing a recap of the week for the Arizona real estate market. So if you haven't seen any videos Monday through Friday, I'm going to recap for the week. So I'm going to take kind of like a highlight reel. So you can count on coming anytime after Sunday because, they all replay, but it'll be uploaded like Sunday nights around 6:00, and it'll be the recap of everything that we've seen and talked about. And family members are worse than normal renters. Boy, yeah, don't get me started. So Real Life Finance, there he is. Caught you live. Good to see you up in the Pacific Northwest there.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm going to be starting that on Sunday night, and tune in. Let me know what you think. It's just going to be some recaps of the week. So I thought I could do Monday morning lives, Tuesday morning, Wednesday, Thursday, and it just became too much. And I couldn't. I had missed a couple of them this week because, I got a new doctor and he's turned me into a lab rat. So,
Well, at least you got your sleep thing figured out.
Yeah, God, what a pain in the rump. So anyway, I had a clean bill of health this week on another procedure, so I won't go into details, but I'm glad about that. But it kept me from doing my show. So
yeah,
I should be done here now. So no more poking, prodding, testing. And it's simply because at my age, when you go to the doctor now, no matter what ailment you got, they look at you and go, well, it's your age.
Yeah.
Well, why did I even make the damn appointment? So
yeah, exactly.
So anyway, well, look, time to scoot and wish everybody a great weekend, Pat. And
next week we'll wait for the CPI numbers and see what happens. And I know the Fed's on Thursday. There's going to be Fed speak after that. So it looks like on Thursday we're gonna have a couple of actually Friday we're gonna Thursday and Friday after CPI numbers on Wednesday we're gonna have some of the guys come out and talk and as far as what. So it could be an interesting week next week in terms of rates. So
well, I don't have to bet anybody $1 that they're not going to lower rates on June because I don't think anybody will bet me. I mean, they're just not. So, and I should have laid down some serious money at the beginning of the year with somebody out there. I know
we could do a bet like the over under on like June, July, August, September. Maybe we could pick a date and see who's the closest.
Stephanie, CPI, 40% housing, PCE, 14% housing.
Yep.
But I think it's housing be damned though, Stephanie. I think there's other things they got to be careful of because our debt, I think our debt is at the beginning stages of putting upward pressure rates. And so, it's here we go. You can't spend money like a drunken sailor permanently, and so it's going to affect us. So anyway, have a great one, everybody. Thanks to our millions and millions of viewers. Got a scoop.
Millions.
Take care.
All right, take care, everyone.